Welcome back to the Rebuilt Parish podcast. I'm so excited for you to get to hear from this next guest we've got today. You are going to get to hear from Chrissy Kelleher, our marketing director at Rebuilt Parish. What's so exciting about this is Chrissy and I work together all of the time, but she usually likes to be behind the scenes, and we got her to agree to come on camera and to be a guest on the podcast. So this is very exciting that you all get to learn from her. Chrissy has years of marketing experience, and before she came in to work for Rebuilt, she was helping multiple parishes in her diocese with marketing and communications. So let me tell you, she has so many great nuggets of wisdom and insights for you. We'll see you inside the podcast. Well, Chrissy, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the Rebuilt Parish podcast.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It's great to be here today.
Well, this is really fun for me because, Chrissy, we get to work together every day with Rebuilt. And since you are leading our marketing team, it is fun that we finally get to see your face and hear your voice on the podcast.
Yes, it's really great that you and I get to work together so closely and that you get to be the face of most of the stuff. I do work on the marketing team here, but you may not know me as well because I like to be on the back end where we're working on the website and the emails and the strategy and the communication. So I am excited to be here today as well. Thank you.
Well, we have a lot of fun together, and I'm excited for everyone to get to experience some of the fun that we have together on this episode. So
that sounds great.
As we get started, can you just tell our Rebuilt Parish community just a little bit about you and what you do at Rebuilt?
Absolutely. So I just said, director of marketing here at Rebuilt. I work on the strategy, the communications, and we have a great team of people who work on social media and podcasts and all the different pieces. And I very excitedly get to kind of put all of that together and see how it's going to come out for everyone who normally gets to see everything finally finished. I have a career in marketing and communications, but probably most relevant for everyone here is that the most recent years before I started at Rebuilt, I was doing marketing consulting for business-to-business organizations, nonprofits, and parishes. I started working with some of the parishes here in my diocese, most likely or as COVID kind of kicked off, we needed to work on emails, live streaming, websites around the time that we were finally kind of not just dealing with parishioners in the pews, but how do we communicate with people in a digital world that all of a sudden existed?
Well, I'm excited that you get to share your expertise with everybody, especially because you've had the opportunity of working with multiple parishes and that you've got such vast marketing experience.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about this in general. So why do you believe that media is no longer optional for parishes hoping to reach the lost today?
Yeah, so I think if you start with a general conversation, we all kind of realize in the back of our heads, right, that media is needed. Websites, people are searching for things on their phones. They're looking someone up when they hear of a parish. They're going to look it up. But I think the key point here is reaching the lost. So if someone's going to come to church, they're physically walking into a building. If they want you to communicate with them, they're going to give you their email address. But media is reaching beyond just them raising their hands and saying, hey, reach out to me. I'm interested in learning about your parish. It's trying to find people on the platforms where they are and where they exist so that you can kind of just pop up and start to reach them differently.
I think that's a great point, Chrissy, meeting them where they're at. So getting on the social media platforms where they're engaging and getting your website in front of them, because for some of the lost, they don't know that what they're missing is Christ and a relationship in a church. So when you meet them where they're at, they're going to be more inclined to answer that call and say, oh, that's interesting. That does look like it applies to me.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's really interesting, and I know we'll probably get into more about what individuals are posting and what the parishes are posting, but it's really that content that starts to kind of sneak into someone's algorithm and start showing up for them that will get them intrigued, and that's how you reach the lost with media.
For sure. Now, how does media fit into the church's call to the new evangelization?
Yes. So I think when we're talking about evangelizing, again, we're not talking about the people who are currently sitting in the pews, right?
Right.
So we need to utilize what we have and what exists to reach out to those new people who, again, are not raising their hands. So you've got to create content that is relevant for the individuals who are not, again, searching for Christian content. So when you're reaching for these individuals and you're trying to evangelize, you need to speak to them about what is relevant for them. You need to talk about topics and pieces that are kind of out there in the general mainstream and not just the events that are happening at your parish, because that is something that they're just going to completely pass by. So we'll get into more about, I think, what kind of content you are posting. But if you're trying to evangelize, you need to be relevant to people who are not just sitting in the pews every day.
And what are some of the ways that they could be relevant? What would you recommend?
Well, I think we have a new example right now that's going on about the Pope. I have a lot of friends who are actually Jewish as well, asking me lots of questions about the conclave and about the new Pope and all of these types of questions. So that's something that, even though it is our world, it is a broader world topic. So posting about that kind of stuff will get you into other people's algorithms and feeds and have you pop up in a way that you probably didn't expect. I'm going to say that youth groups are probably also a really good potential there. If you're just talking about a group of people doing something, you can tag those people, their friends will kind of see it, but you're not saying, hey, come to our church and see this event. It's just a lot more of a natural, here's what we're doing and here's what's going on.
Oh my gosh. Yes. The storytelling, Chrissy, that is like a game changer in media by telling the story, whether it's telling a story and informing about the new Pope, which, yes, I agree. It's so much fun being on social right now and watching all of my Christian brothers and sisters, right, that aren't Catholic, but all of them out there and their excitement and curiosity about the Pope. That is, I hate to say it, but a trending topic right now.
Yes, it
So
is.
talking about some of those trending topics is good, but then also telling the story rather than just saying, oh, we have this event or that event. When you're telling the story about how your kids are engaged in this youth group or in this small group, then that gets parents of kids that same age thinking, oh, that looks like something my kid could do. Oh, that looks really interesting. Things are different than when I was a kid.
Yes, absolutely. I think we have such a great kids program here, and it's vibrant and it's colorful and it's something really great and easy to post. And when you post something like that, the families can share all of that. And again, that's just something relevant. You're sharing about your family, what you may have done that weekend, and it's just a natural way to kind of get out there.
For sure. Now, let's talk about this one thing. And this is something that is near and dear to my heart. But how does digital media help extend a parish's reach beyond the church walls? And why is that important?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm a broken record in this point now. But again, the point of this is to reach people who are not sitting in our pews, right? Like we know that our parishioners may follow us on social media, maybe out of obligation, maybe to find out what events are actually going on. But the main reason for doing this is to create that broader reach. And I have a good example of this from when I was doing live streaming back in COVID times. And we had just kind of started putting the live stream masses on YouTube, and we started emailing people for the first time. So we had not been emailing people with this parish that I was working with before COVID. So as you can imagine, the email list is a little bit old, and that may normally be a bad thing that you have a really old email list. But in this case, it worked out perfectly. A lot of people who had moved away and were traveling elsewhere were starting to get the emails now. They were starting to reconnect with the parish and watch everything on YouTube again. And to work in several different parishes, seeing this happen, to get those responses to the emails and just have so many people say, oh my gosh, I moved away years ago and I'm in this state now, but I got your email. I've started watching. It is so nice to really feel like I'm reconnecting to home and I'm being there again. And so I know that's related to some of our parishioners, but again, when you're not just focused on your zip code area, you can reach people in a wider area, and starting with people who used to be part of your community is a great way to start.
Absolutely. And Chrissy, those people who moved away, they could still be lost. They maybe didn't find a new parish in their new town. So this is a way that you were able to reach some of those lost. I think that's amazing.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I know when you and I first started working together, we were kind of swapping stories about some of the reasons why we think that marketing and communication is so important, especially in a parish. And I shared this one example with you. And it's when I first had started with the communications in my parish. So I had first gotten involved and we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have social. Our website was terrible, like embarrassingly so. And we were at a meeting, and a woman had said something about something that was going on, some sort of event, and people, barely anybody showed up. And I said, "Oh, that's interesting. It seems like it would have been a good event. Why didn't people show up?" And she said, "Well, I don't know. It was in the bulletin." And I said, "Oh, ha. But you have to actually come inside the church to get the bulletin if you want to know. And we have to find other ways to reach people outside of the walls." And that's why the social media and the website and other forms of media are just so important to reach those.
Absolutely. And you got to remember that your website is kind of like your hub. You own that. And that's where you get to explain about who you are and what your parish culture is and what your mission is and any of the other details that you need. But then meeting people where they are. So are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are they on YouTube? That's where things kind of sneak and pop around. And that's where you get to take advantage of reaching them in a way that they may not have expected. And they may not have raised their hand and said, "Yes, please contact me." Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have to tell them that they want us to contact them. Like if church isn't front of mind, which, let's be real, at this time that we're in, this current generation that we're in, it's not always front of mind for people. We're living in a very secular time right now. I'm hoping with the new pope that some of that starts to shift and turn around, but we have to get in front of people and let them know we're here and show them what we're doing through these various forms of media.
Absolutely.
Now, for a parish that's just starting to take media seriously, where should they begin? What's the low-hanging fruit for them?
Yeah, and this is a great question. It can seem really overwhelming when you start thinking about this. And I tend to go down rabbit holes when I start talking. And I'm like, you could do this and you could do that and you could do all these different things. But really, the best place to start is just to be consistent and to just kind of get started. And I think one thing also probably is just thinking about where you're most comfortable. So when you probably start thinking about like what is trending and what is most popular, and you're like, oh, I need to do videos and I need to get videos out there. Well, not everyone really wants to start with videos. And when you start looking at the parish staff and saying, okay, which one of you is going to do the videos? Who's going to be on camera? And Father, is it going to be you? Are you getting on camera? So I think just start and get some slight posts out there, but consistency is key. And I think one thing also is, make a little bit of that plan at first. Yes. So figure out, okay, what is our mission? What do we want to communicate? And just kind of think through what are the top 3 or 4 different things that we can post, and just plan something for a month. But then once you get it out there, see how people react.
Yes.
And that's when you can kind of follow up on your plan and say, oh, that one worked really well. Let's do more of those posts. So I think just consistency, start where you're comfortable, and maybe have a little bit of a plan ahead of time, but don't overthink your plan right in the beginning.
I love that. Don't overthink your plan and be consistent and start where you're comfortable, because people grow outside of that, right? So if you're only comfortable posting static photos and maybe some graphics at first, that's okay as long as you're consistent, right?
Yeah, and it's so important to remember that this stuff takes time, and it takes time for the individuals who are going to find you on social media, but it also takes time for these algorithms to pick up what you're doing and recognize you and figure out that something is of value to your target audience. So I think the other thing is be consistent and don't give up, and don't give up too soon.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, give yourself like the first year to just start getting posts out there, seeing what works, maybe 3 months in, 6 months in, start looking at those stats and those trends to figure out what is working best. But wait until it's a year into it, because that's when you'll finally be able to go back and just say, this worked really well. Look at this one post that got some awesome stats a couple of months ago. Now let's try and replicate that. But you can't look at trends until you have enough data to actually have trends.
Absolutely. And you and I talk about this all the time when we meet, that, we need to have at least a year's worth of data to be able to compare things, and that marketing is not a quick win. It is a long road. We're playing the long game here with marketing.
Yes, it is. And it's a good thing. It takes time to get your brand out there, to have people remember to go back and look at your feed. And eventually they're going to say, oh, wait, I wanted to see how that event went. Let me go look and see if there's any pictures that have been posted. But they're going to start to learn what you post. So just figure out what those posts will be initially. Give yourself 30 days, 90 days, and then you can adjust as needed.
Yes, for sure. Getting into that rhythm of what sort of posts. And I think that kind of ties into, how do we balance quality and consistency when we're creating content, especially for multiple channels too?
Yes. And I think when I think of quality and consistency, that's where you want to just don't start out right with videos unless you have someone already, like maybe a younger person who is able to say, I know exactly how to do these videos. And I think an easy way to start is just kind of creating some templates. So come up with those 3 or 4 different types of posts that you're going to put out there and create the templates in a nice, easy program. Canva is a great tool. And I guess small plug, it is very easy to get a pro account for nonprofits. So parishes, you should be looking into getting a free pro Canva account. It's a great resource. You can share things across different team members, but you can also create different templates and different posts for each platform. So I will also say something I kind of recommend. I know there's some platforms out there where you can post things once and then it goes out in multiple places. And I actually don't recommend those when you're first starting out, because for one, it's a really good learning experience, right? Like if you're on each platform and you're natively posting, you get to see the frustrations of, it doesn't do it this way on Instagram like it does on LinkedIn, or I can't tag people this way versus that way. So it's a good learning curve, right? To just kind of get out there and figure out how each one works in their nuances. And that'll help you 6 months down the road to create better, consistent content per each of the platforms.
Well, definitely. And something that we've learned from this is that the algorithm appreciates a native post rather than a post by a third-party app. More people are going to see it when you post natively. And for those of you who maybe marketing isn't your second language, when we're talking about posting natively, it means right within that app or website. So if I say post natively to Meta, right, which is Facebook and Instagram, if I post right through the Meta website rather than posting through I'm trying to think, like Hootsuite is a third-party app, or even HubSpot is a third-party app, more people are going to see it. And the whole point is to reach the lost. So the great thing is too, a lot of these apps and social media channels that we use, you do have the opportunity to schedule as well. So it does not mean you need to be glued to your phone or glued to your laptop to get these posts out there. With some consistency and planning, like Chrissy was talking about, you can plan your posts for a month and have them all scheduled and ready to go.
Absolutely. And don't get hung up on the tech if you're just getting started. Just worry about kind of getting some posts together and be consistent and leave it at that.
Definitely. Now, we're going to have some pastors and parish leaders who maybe think that, all this social media stuff, all of this website stuff, this is just too complicated, or maybe it's not their thing. What advice would you give to them?
So this is advice I typically have to give myself as well. I said, I like to be on the back end. I love that Melissa does the workshops. I love that Melissa does these podcasts, and I just get to kind of work on the back end. It's not necessarily my thing either. And so the most important thing is to remember that it is not for us. It is for them. It is for the lost. It is for those in our community that we're trying to reach. And so that always helps me a little bit to remember the why of we're doing this. And in fact, I have two books that I really love. We can put them in the show notes. One is written by Flock Notes. Why They Follow, I think it's called. And the other one is Know What You're For. And
Yes.
I highly recommend both of these books because they're not necessarily about just marketing and social media and videos, but they're more mission driven and the why. And the why is what we all need to get over to realize why social media is important, why communicating is so important to get out there.
Definitely. And so I haven't read the Flock Notebook yet. I know you recommended this to me a while ago. I still need to get that one. But Who Are You For is one that we actually read together as a team. Our whole Rebuilt team read it. And Chrissy, you're absolutely right. It's not just a marketing book. That is a book that it talks about working in a church and talks about finding, like, making everything about who it's for rather than making it about us as parish leaders. So I love that that's your mindset around it. Like, even if I don't love being in front of the camera, or even if I don't love figuring out all of the tech, it's not about me. It's about this lost sheep out there who needs to find Jesus and come home to the church again. And we're going to do this to find that person and bring them home.
Absolutely. And when you're making the posts and you're creating the content, remembering that who is it for is going to take us back to the beginning of our conversation there. You know, don't just post about events and hope that everyone's going to come. Don't just post about what happened. This is where you need to think about that spiritual content, that prayerful content. What is going on in the world today, and how can you kind of relate to that with everything that's going on? Because you want to be reaching them for something that they're interested in and not just about you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, as you're talking about some of that, it makes me think that that's kind of how you're making that media ministry aligned with the bigger mission of making disciples and not just generating views or likes or getting people to show up at events. It's about the mission.
Absolutely. And I think that you and I talk about this often, right? It's not just about the engagement. It's not about the likes. It's not about the clicks. There's so much more to it. And that's where you have to look at your bigger picture and the vision. And what is your strategy? What is your goal? So I do think for parishes, you know, sometimes if you're not getting any likes or you're not getting any clicks, and I'm going to go to an event example, but everybody saw it and they showed up to the event, that's a win. So you can't just look at one metric and not all of it together. And the number of new people who follow you is also really important. I think that is a good metric that you want to look at, but it's not just about those who are looking at it, who are following you, because if you're trying to reach the lost, they may be starting to see your posts and your videos and your content, but they're not yet comfortable to like it. They're definitely not comfortable yet to comment on it, but maybe they did share it. And so you can't just kind of blanket use anyone else's metrics of this is success and that's it. You really need to figure out how it fits into the bigger church, the bigger mission, and make sure that across the board, you're winning.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Likes and comments aren't everything. They're awesome. We want that engagement. But if we're reaching the lost at the end of the day, that's who we're for. And that's why we're doing this. That's so good. I love that. Now, Chrissy, as we wrap things up in, your years of marketing expertise, I feel like you are the one to ask this question. What trends in digital communication should parishes be paying attention to in the next few years?
Yeah, and this is a good question because, again, I think I might sidestep your question because it's not about the trends that are going to be coming up. Again, it's based on you and it's based on your goals. And so I think when you ask this question of what trends should you be paying attention to, yes, pay attention to what platforms are important and what is new, and don't don't forget to pay attention to where you may need to go next. But I think what's really most important is paying attention to where your trends are and understanding where your people are. And so this could be, again, the first 6 months, you're kind of looking at different platforms and you're just kind of putting everything out there. And then you start to notice that nobody is responding to anything that you post on LinkedIn. But look at your YouTube views, and those are going up and your subscribers are going up. So you have to pay attention to the trends of not just what everybody else is telling you is the it thing right now, but where are your people? Where are you succeeding? And also, yes, where do you think you might succeed if you tried it?
Oh my gosh, yes. Because not every platform is for every audience. So you're absolutely right. Just because one, in the marketing world, we're hearing LinkedIn is everything. Put so much money and resources into LinkedIn, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that it is the right media outlet for your audience. So Chrissy, I love that you said that. Pay attention to where your people are, because that's where we need to be directing our efforts.
Yes, absolutely. Don't ignore everything that's going on. I'm not saying that. But it's more important what your goals are and make sure that you're following your people and their hearts.
Yes, definitely. Oh my gosh. Well, Chrissy, I'm so grateful that you are the one opening up this series for us as we talk about digital discipleship and teaching parishes just how they can reach the lost by putting some time, energy, and intention into media and digital communication. So thank you so much for taking the time to come and pour into this Rebuilt community today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for letting me be here today. It's so great to be in front of everyone. We appreciate our community so much. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, we really do. We are so grateful for everyone who listens to the podcast or watches on YouTube and follows us on social, which, by the way, if you're not following us yet, we'll put those links in the show notes. You can follow us. We will also put the links for the 2 books that Chrissy talked about. And again, just thank you for being a part of this Rebuilt Parish community. We are so grateful for you. We'll see you on the next episode.